Hello, very good morning to you on this Monday, the 21st of July. So plodding on through the year, today I've got a really lovely make for you. I'm going to call this one Lina, and I'm using the most beautiful cubes. I love cube shaped beads. There's just something about them. They're delicate, they're colourful, they're elegant, and they're a lot of fun to use. So we've got loads today. This kit's going to make a necklace and a bracelet up, so you've got that little matching jewellery set. Each kit will contain 3 different colours of these beautiful cubes. They're Toho cubes. So you can mix and arrange these in however you like. I'm using predominantly one colour and then adding in just a few of 2 others to add that little pop of colour. I've got lots of spaces. I've got rondelles and rounds in terms of my spaces, and I've got some lovely little floral bead caps as well, which fit beautifully around these delicate little cubes. In terms of findings, Callottes, Crimp Beads, jump rings and a clasp is all you're going to need. I'm going to be using Tigertail to string onto today, so it's going to give it a beautiful shape, really lovely and easy to use. And in terms of tools, I'm going to use some cutters just to trim off the ends of my Tigertail, 2 pairs of pliers, flat nose or chain nose just to open up my jump ring, and then my chain nose or tweezer nose or crimping pliers if you want to crimp your crimp beads. Really minimal in terms of tools, but lots of goodies in terms of components. So I'm going to say a very quick good morning to you before I take you over to the website, and I will show you the goodies that we have for you today. Good morning to Jan. She says it's a very damp Sudbury. It looks like it's going to rain really heavily here. We've got grey clouds. It's rather overcast, but it is still feeling quite warm. Good morning to Rachel, who's in a cloudy Barrow. Good morning to Camille, who says, how are you? Sorted your Facebook out? Yes, I did. I thought you were telling me that it wasn't streaming then. Yeah, I did. I just had a bit of a sort. I've just had this thing, which I'm sure everybody gets, where you don't really get to see anybody that you're actually friends with, and it's just a lot of sponsored stuff. But yeah, I had a little bit of an interaction with people. I just went through my friends list, and it seems to have come back a little bit. There's also, I've discovered a feed that you can click on to just see people your nose feed, so I'll be using that in future. Good morning to Kath, how are you doing? Good morning to Just Me, says I love cube beads. I do too. We've got loads of different shapes in these. I've got flat rondelles, round spaces, floral bead caps, cubes. There's lots of texture going on. It's lovely. Good morning to Heather. Says looks like rain. Good morning to Anne. Hello to Izzy. She says it's wet here too today. It's a real change, isn't it? We're typical. As soon as the children break up from school, the weather changes. It's been glorious for so long. And good morning to Joanne. She says enjoyed a little bit of thunder over the weekend. We've been promised more this afternoon. It does break it up a bit, doesn't it, when it's muggy. Muggy's the word we've chosen. Good morning to Jan. She says I like the look of these beauties. Good morning to Alison, who's in a wet and cold Cape Town. She says so delighted I'm linked into your live. We're delighted to have you too, Alison. Thank you for being with me. Camille saying what she gets her sponsored adverts for. I mean, a lot of mine is jewellery related, which is always nice. It's nice to see people's makes and be inspired, but there's also a lot of random stuff in there too. Good morning to Elaine. Hello to Carol. How are you doing? Right, over we go. totallybeads.co.uk is our wonderful website where you can get your hands on your kits today. My eyes are doing that funny thing again today, and I've got a sore thumb. I've been making an awful lot, and I don't know whether I need to rest both. So when we go to video tutorials, you can go into the jewellery making section, or you can go on one of these little icons on the main screen. That will take you into the lives that we've been doing recently. Lots of beautiful variety for you there regarding the techniques and also what it is that we're making. We've got earrings, bracelets, necklaces, all sorts of different things, whether it be chain mail, seed beading, stitch beading, threading, the whole shebang. So today is Lina cube necklaces. If you click in here, you will see the goods. We've got 2 on gold and 2 on silver in terms of all your spaces and your findings today. And there are 3 colours in each one. So they're very, I think, really delicate and dainty looking. These are just beach wear to me. I think they would be absolutely lovely worn on the beach. And what's great about having, you know, summery jewellery when it's this fabulous in price means that, you know, you can afford to wear it at the beach, in the salty sea air. You know, it's beautiful, it looks luxurious, but it's an amazing price. So we have dark olive for you, which is the more expensive one at £12.49, but you are making a necklace and a bracelet up with that. We've got the hematite colourway, which is £8.99. We've got a lilac colourway, which is £8.99, and we've got a lined gold in £9.99. So as I say, 2 silvers and 2 gold, but although we're calling it olive, hematite, lilac and gold, there's 3 colours in each one. Now, I've not made the bracelets up, but the bracelets will work in exactly the same way. You just need to make them to your length. So these are how the necklaces look, and I'm sure you can imagine how the bracelet would too. Again, you can arrange these in whichever way you want to. So what I'm doing is I'm choosing one predominant colour, and that's what we've named the necklace after, that predominant colour. So you can see here my predominant colour is the olive, and then I'm just going to pop in, I think I'm using say 8 of one and 7 of another, and the predominant colour has got 48 pieces in, so 48 cubes of that one colour, and I'm just arranging them like so. You can do whatever you want, but in your kit you're going to get 3 colours of your Toho cube beads. You're going to get your bead caps, your spacer rondelles, your spacer round beads, your lobster clasps, your tiger tail, your crimp beads, your jump rings and your Callottes. So lots and lots of goodies in there. If you want to see exactly what the other colours are and how it all looks, or if you want to buy more of anything else, then you can click down on the bottom and you can add these into your basket. So my 4mm or my spacer round beads are 4mm in size. You've got those acrylic rondelles which are 4mm in size as well, and you've got those lovely little bead caps which are 4mm in size. These are all kind of gold or champagne findings on these colorways. And then the colours that I'm using in terms of your Toho cubes, which are also 4mm in size, are bronze, and then I've got a beautiful metallic teal, and I've got a matte dark olive, and I will show you those down on the mat as well, because they look a bit more black to me today, but you'll see them how they look in the necklace. So that one here is our predominantly dark olive, and they're all on the gold findings. We've got the hematite, which is kind of like the base colour in this one. I'm just using more of those. Again, all of the same findings. You're just going to get them in the silver colourway in this kit. And I'm going to be using the hematite, the metallic rainbow iris, and the silver frost teal. So these are kind of like more blue kind of colours, I suppose. Really, really pretty. Very, very lovely. They're all on the silver, same measurements for most things, are about 4mm in size. So that one is your hematite colourway. Then we have the lilac, and I did this in 2 ways. I started using the rose as the predominant colour, and then I thought, actually, I'm just going to swap it out. So you can see every now and again you get a little pop of something else in between, and I'm just alternating between those colours. So this one on the silver is going to come with the metallic grape, the rainbow crystal rose, and then the trans rainbow foxglove, which is really, really beautiful. It's kind of like, well, a kind of lilac-y colour, hence the name. So they're all on the silver colourway for you, and that's how that necklace looks. And then lastly, but by no means least, and this one I'm going to demo for you today, is the first one I made, and I just fell in love with it. Really, really gorgeous. Just feels warm and summery to me. So this one is on your gold colourway, and I'm going to be using the Navajo white. I'm going to use the gold lined Toho cubes, and I'm also going to be using the rose gold topaz. So I've decided to use the gold line ones as the predominant colour in this one, but I think you're probably going to get plenty. I really don't imagine that they're going to be counting out individual ones. So I think you're probably going to, I'm assuming, get the same amount in each one, and then you can mix them up if you really wanted to. So that's how this one looks. So I'm going to take you back down on the mat. I'll show you them in the flesh, on my mat anyway, and you can see how those colours look together. And then we can start making. It is a nice quick make today. And if you've got any questions, do drop me a comment. I don't think I've missed anything. Izzy says she's made some of your agate necklaces yesterday, and they're lovely. That's great to hear. Thank you so much. Don't forget, we do have a group that you can share your totally handmade pieces into, and anything else that you want to as well. We like to see a bit of everything. Gives us a lot of inspiration. So down on the mat we go, and I will show you how these look. Really, really, really pretty. So these are your silver. A little bit of focus. So you can see I've got the hematite colourway with the beautiful, I love that blue, it's absolutely gorgeous. And then I've got like a purpley kind of iris in there. And then you've got the lilac ones, and you can see a little change in colour on these as well. We're using all those gorgeous components from Floral Beadcaps to just kind of case around those squares. We've got the rounds, we've got the rondelles. They're really lightweight and they look beautifully stacked as well. So if you did want to multi-buy and you want to layer them up or mix all your colours up, you absolutely could. If you're wearing them as a little bracelet, they're going to look something like this. Camille says they look quite pretty in real life. Thanks very much. Heather says if you use the kit link from YouTube to get the Louisa kits, I'm not sure if someone was asking. Yeah, if you're watching us on YouTube, in the description it should say get your materials here, and then that will take you straight to the website. I did see a comment on a video a little while ago. Someone was saying that they weren't sure how to find our kits and the tutorials. Most of our tutorials don't come with a PDF. Some of them do, but the video is your tutorial. So what I would suggest you do is when you get your kit, write on the little bag that they come in the name of what we've called it. You could just type in cube and cube jewellery and it might bring this up for you. Obviously you can search by findings in terms of like, you know, you want to make a necklace, you want to make a bracelet, but you can also just search by the name. So if you were to type Lina in, Lina, this should come up for you. And sometimes we start to make things, or we get something with the intention to make it. Okay, so the link doesn't work. Right, well, I will check into that just afterwards, Jan. We should be able to correct that, no problem, but can't do it right now. I'll do it as soon as I finish. I'll send a little message. So these are your gold colorway ones. This is the one I'm going to demo for you today. You can see I'm just playing with them because they're just so gorgeous and tactile to touch. So this is like sand to me. I think I did name these. I think I spent a little while naming these because I named this one Desert because it reminded me of desert sands. I think I named this one Rainforest because of that beautiful kind of matte dark olive colour. I'm hoping you can see that it isn't black. It is a lovely olive. Struggling to focus. There you go, you can see the light better on this one. Then I think I called this one, I didn't call it Meadow, I called it Heathland maybe, because they reminded me of kind of heathers. And then this one I named after, I think it was something space related, Nebula is what I named this one. So I spent a long time deciding what names to call them, and they just put them on the website as the predominant colour, which is absolutely fair enough. But you can see what I think these kind of inspire me of. Again, they look beautiful if you wanted to layer them up, and I just think these look really opulent. So that's enough chit-chatting about your gorgeous products today. Check out the website if you would like to make along with me and you want to get your kit. and we're going to start making really straightforward, very easy to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tiger tail to begin with. I'm cutting about 55 centimeters of the tiger tail, which works out about 21 inches. And because I know the design I'm using, I'm not starting from the middle and working out. I'm just going to start from one end and work all the way around. So I'm going to add my callotte on. Love my callottes. There's a little hole at the bottom. Tiger tail just fits neatly. Oh, let's get into shot. Just through that hole. So it's going to keep the tiger tail from just going to trap it, but it's not going to rub against your threads. It's going to keep it all nice and safe. I don't crimp properly with crimping pliers. I just use 2 crimp beads and I crush them, and they fit inside of the callotte and they don't tend to snag on the wire. I've not really had that issue. If you crimp your crimp beads properly with a crimping plier, we're literally just going to kind of fold it over into a little half moon type shape and then fold it back, so it's going to create like a little small type of bead. What I tend to do is I just bring up the last one put on and towards the end of the tiger tail, and I just give it a little flatten down, so you can see the difference now. One's round, one's flat. Oh, my camera's really struggling today to focus. I mean, there's a teeny bit sticking out there, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. I'm bringing the next one up right next to it, and I'm just flattening that down too. There you go. I'll then bring the callotte over, and you can see that callotte a lovely size. It's going to fit 2 crimp beads in perfectly. I just fold it over with my fingers to begin with, making sure my crimp beads are inside. And then when I'm happy those 2 little holes at the end are lined up, I'm just going to give it a little compress towards the bottom, really. Just gently. Don't feel I've aligned it up properly, but there you go. As long as we've now got 1 hole that we can hook through, and that's going to keep my tiger tail in place. I'm going to start off my stringing pattern with these lovely flat rondelle spacers, and they're really gorgeous. And I'm just going to place 1 on and make sure that that fits up towards the end of, or the bottom of, my callotte. Now I'm going to pick out my predominant colour. This one is what makes me think of sand. It's like a gold lined colour. And for my base colour, which is this one, I'm just going to pour them all out. I'm going to need about 48 pieces. So I'll just put some there so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put these on in groups of 3, and I'm just going to put that flat rondelle spacer in between as I alternate between them. So I'm going to do my base colour cube, rondelle, my base colour cube, rondelle, and my third gorgeous Toho cube, and another of my rondelles. So each time I thread my base colour on, it's going to be in these little groups. So 3 cubes with those encasing them. Now I'm going to take my round spacer, which is 4mm, and I'm going to place that on. And then I'm going to pick out my first alternating colour. So I'm going to pop a little flower bead cap just to surround that. Now, I want my bead cap to be sitting around the cube. So you can see I've got this lovely little flower. I want that facing outwards. I'm then going to pick up this beautiful one. And then I'm going to put another little bead cap on. This time I'm popping it on the opposite way. So it's going to sit around my bead like so. I'm then going to put another round bead on, so a round spacer. Now they will wiggle around at the moment in terms of those bead caps, but when it's all pushed up, they will sit like so. And then now I've done that little section, I'm going to go back and do this one, and I'm going to do this in between each one. And each time it comes to the bead capped cube, I'm just going to swap between the other 2 colours in my kit. So now I've put my little round on, I'm going to go back to rondelle, base cube, rondelle, base colour, rondelle, another one of my predominant colours, and finishing with a little rondelle. So I've got 3 again, and that's my next cluster. Then back to the round. And then bead cap. And this time I'm going to use the other colour. So I've got this Navajo white, which I think looks gorgeous. And then the little flower bead cap again is going to sit here. And each time I've got my bead cap on, I'm just going to go for another round. So in total, I'll be using 48 pieces of my predominant cube. I'm going to be using 8 pieces of the first colour, which is this kind of terracotta-y kind of colour. And then I'll be using 7 pieces of this beautiful Navajo white. In total, I'm going to use 30 pieces of the round spacers, 30 pieces of the bead caps, and I will use of the 4mm rondelles. I'm going to be using 64 of those. So that's just for my design to get the length that I want. Of course, you can play around with the pattern and design of this if you want to, but it's a really straightforward stringing pattern. Each time I pop one of my little coloured accent cubes on, I'm just going to add a section of my mostly used colour, always having 3, and they're just going to be around the rondelles. So sorry, I don't know why I'm not quite in shot today. Not in shot, and I haven't got the best focus. So you can see already it's starting to grow really straightforward, really quickly. This is a nice beginner project jewellery. And again, I think when you've got lovely findings and things to work with, nice materials, it's just nice to do something simple with them. Doesn't have to be overcomplicated. So I'm now putting on back to my first colour I used of the bead cap one, so the terracotta one again, using my rounds and my spacer beads just to surround them, making sure they're facing the right way, and then slide that down and back to rondelle cube, alternating between those. So the Toho cubes are absolutely gorgeous. I am going to be doing a few projects, I think, with them in the future, because I just think they're really, really versatile and an absolutely gorgeous selection of colours. So again, now I've popped my rondelle on, I'm going to go for the round bead. Just bringing the tiger tail through that drill hole, get myself a little flower, sliding on my bead cap, going back to the white. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take another one out of the kit, just because they're not all perfectly uniform. They are mainly cubes, but you can see how that's got really lovely flush edges. I'm going to utilise those instead, rather than say this one. It doesn't really matter, but that one's got a slightly higher section there, and I just think it will fit more flush if it's together, if it's a bit more uniform in shape. So they're gorgeous for stringing with. You'll find sometimes if you're beading, I did go to use these in an earring design, and because they just wouldn't sit quite flush, I thought I will use them for earrings, but not with that design I had in mind. so I utilised something else. So different things lend themselves better for different projects. And when we put a kit together, we try and make sure that, you know, it's suitable and perfect for its purpose. So now I'm going to go back for the cube and spacer, rondelle. So they're like the beads, they're just flattened, which just gives that extra texture and just sits gorgeous against them. I'm going to add 3 onto those. Heather saying she's liking the olive green. Alison saying love that colourway. And hello to Linda, how are you doing? Hope you're well. So added those on. And then I'm going to go back to this colour. They're really, really, really straightforward. I think it's nice to do straightforward makes, and also what's straightforward to some isn't always straightforward to others. So obviously, as I know some of you are aware, my little one's now off school. He's at a tennis club today, so he's not on the live with me, but he's very eager to come and do some making with me. I was making up some samples yesterday with my mother-in-law and him, and I thought, oh, well, this will be great because it'll speed me up no end. And it didn't at all, because I had to help them thread on the beads and explain what came next. And it was lovely. It was really lovely just to spend time doing something with him. But obviously, what works quicker for some isn't as quick for others. So for me, I think this is a really quick make, but I tend not to say this is going to take you 10 minutes, because it might not. You know, I say my thumb's been really aching, this muscle at the moment. I think it's a lot of, you know, the pliers and stuff that I'm constantly using. We've been struggling with the heat, we've been struggling with kind of arthritis and rheumatism and all the rest of it. So just take your time with it. Don't put a time limit on. Set yourself, you know, maybe half an hour to make something. And if you need to take a break, just take a break. It's meant to be enjoyable. So now I've put that section back on. It's time for the round. So shiny, can't find the drill hole. And then a little flower. So just adding on the bead cap. Doesn't want to go. More fingers and thumbs. Just jinx myself, haven't I? Saying, oh, take a minute. I'm going to use the Navajo white. Another little bead cap. So I'm just catching that cube in between. And then another round. And then back to the rondelle. So there's always going to be a spacer, whether it be a round, a bead cap, or a rondelle next to my cubes. I've added my 3 cubes on, surrounded by the rondelle. And then back to the round, bead cap, these beautiful gold topaz, little bead cap, and another round, and then alternating back to the section with the flat rondelles and my 3 predominant colour cubes. Slide my chair over because I'm sitting at a funny angle. There we go. So you get into a nice little repetition with this. Just remembering to alternate between your 2 colours. or your 3 colours really. And you can change these around as well if you want to. If you're making a bracelet, you might want to cut about 8 inches off your tiger tail, depending on how large you want to make it. And you can always work from the centre outwards, just to make sure you've got your pattern matching accordingly. So maybe start with, oh, just fired one across the room. So yeah, maybe start with the cube with the flower bead caps around it first, and then work to each end of the tiger tail. It's this position is what's making that muscle feel a little tender at the minute. Do laugh of saying the strongest muscle on my entire body is probably this. And my wrist probably gets the most of a workout. I did walk at the weekend. I did 5 miles, which I was really proud of myself. Don't ask me what that is in like kilometres, I don't know. But it was a lot, and it was really, really warm. It was raining at times, but it was so warm. So I'm jealous of the thunder and lightning, because they promised it for us for a little while, and I think we did hear a little bit of thunder, but just in the distance. Didn't get to see any lightning or anything. Right, I'm going back to the gold topaz. Love these. I think they're like a terracotta-y colour. They're just beautiful. And I think they look lovely in contrast with those white ones as well. So I'm just putting them on in little sections at the top of my tiger tail, just so you can kind of see the pattern. Yeah, sweet. Linda says, it was bright and sunny here in Watford, but expecting rain later on. Might break it up a little bit. I'm going to the warehouse on Friday, which is very exciting. I've got about 90 ideas, and I'm planning on putting about 40 kits together, which should do me for about 6 months. I mean, I'd like to do more, but we just have to see. It takes a little while to get it all done. But I'm looking forward to having a play and being creative. Right, so back to the white. Again, though, there's still time if you've got any particular ideas of any makes that you want to do. I know we've had a suggestion, I've had the suggestion for, someone said to me about clip-on earrings, bag and keyring charms. I'm going to do some of those. If there's anything particular, whether it's a technique or maybe it's a product you want to use, maybe you've seen something on the site and think, I would love to have that made into a kit with something, then do just pop me a comment, send me a message, and say there's still time to have a little think about how that would work. If there's anything particular, maybe you just want to see more earrings, or more wire work, or more chainmail. We do try and keep it varied, so we do, even if we do the same technique, using, different combination of beads and things like that can really change up the look of something. So I've not got much more to string now. I could do with a new hand. I might try and swap and thread with my other hand, just to to give me a little bit of a rest on that thumb. But we'll see how we'll see how I fire things away. Be nice to be ambidextrous. I think when you're just threading, I should be okay. But my brain works from one side to the other, so there you go. And then I'm going to do around the bead cap, making sure I'm going, so you see your bead caps are slightly domed. We want that to fit around the cube. So I'm having them face inwards towards it. Sliding on through the drill hole. Just automatically when I go to the other side, but I'll try doing it this way. It might be a little bit slower. So I'm just putting them on in little clusters. Really easy pattern repeat. And then I'm going to go back to the, I want to keep calling it terracotta, but it is gold topaz, I think. So this one was my desert sand colourway. I'm often inspired by nature, so tend to look at things in regards to kind of landscapes and colourways. If you're not really sure what colours go and what to put together, you can get some like colour wheels, which will show you like what contrasts but looks good together and what complements each other. But I tend to just think, well, look at nature. Like green goes with everything. If you ever look at like flowers in the garden or in landscape, then whatever colour always tends to go with green. But if nature's going to put those colours together, then go with that. Right, I'm now getting to the end of my pattern. So I will be adding my last Navajo white cube. With my flower spacer. And my round. Izzy says, well, 90 ideas, do you ever sleep? Sometimes I dream about makes. And then if I have a dream about a make, then I have to make it. But no, I don't really. I mean, just because I've got the ideas doesn't mean I'm going to be able to put them all together. And it's thinking about what materials are going to work. I can have an idea in my head and then go to try it, just like I did with these cubes. So as I said, I intended to do something completely different with them. I just loved them and knew I wanted to use them. And then when I went to use them in the way that I originally thought about, I was like, it's not gonna quite work. So trial and error. All right, I'm now going to put on my last gold topaz. The thing is about doing it with my left hand is you can't quite see what I'm stringing on. I don't think. but you get the gist. It's the same pattern all the way through. Okay. And then I'm going to add my last set of 3. So rondelle, back to my predominant colour, putting them on in 3 with the little rondelle spaces either side. So I've started with a rondelle and I'm finishing with a rondelle. Now I'm going to create that curve in my piece of jewellery. I'm going to just make sure that they're all sitting next to each other. There's no gaps. I will find that sometimes the cubes just move out to the alignment slightly with those bead caps, but just popping it, pushing back in will just fit it in nice and snugly. So I've got that nice kind of tension. Don't want it too tight. I want us to have a little bit of movement in this. And what I'm going to do is I'm then going to add my callotte onto the other side. It's going to end up going so my tiger tail's sticking out the top. And then I'm going to take my first crimp bead and let that drop right down to the bottom. So it's sitting inside of my callotte. I'm going to come in with my pliers and just give that a little crush down. So it's going to be held in place. There's no movement on that. But just for a little bit of extra security, I'm going to add another crimp bead onto the top. Let that fall directly onto the last one. And if you can see, and then just going to flatten that out too. And then I'm going to just trim off any excess tiger tail. So I started with 55 centimeters of tiger tail, which is approximately 21 inches. Just trim off close to the callotte. To the crimp bead, fold the callotte over, and you can see it's kind of splayed out at the moment. We just want to give it a little push down. So this is why we want the crimp beads kind of crushed in the same direction. It did move up a little bit because I was looking through the camera, so it's just peeking out a little bit, but it will still work. And then all I need to do is get my 2 jump rings. So you'll have these in your kit as well. I'm just going to open up by giving it a little turn towards me, not too much, just enough to get through the 2 little lined up loops on that, and then turn it away to close. And then the same on the other side, only this time I'm going to add my lobster clasp on as well. So I tend to close it first and then twist open. Slide on my callotte, my clasp, which is 12mm, and then close that back. So in terms of length for this, in this design, using the same amount that I did, do it in centimeters and then I'll do it in inches for you. Let me just move my beads out of the way. So it is, say that's 30, I've probably written down, it's a 20-inch or 52-centimeter necklace. I've written it down, yeah. So about 20-inch necklace with this design. So in this one, I've used 48 pieces of these predominant colour. I've used 8 of those gold topaz. I've used 7 of the Navajo white, and then in terms of my lovely spaces and rondelles, I've got 30 pieces of the 4mm rounds, 64 pieces of the acrylic rondelles, and my bead caps, I've used 30 pieces of them as well. So obviously you're going to get more beads and bits in your kits today, because you can make a little bracelet which would just look, if you want to use that design, something like this, but you can change them up. You can, you could alternate between each colour if you wanted to. You could do whatever you want. So that is my lovely necklace, all done and dusted. These are the Lina Cube Jewellery. I'll take you back onto the website so you can have a little look at those, if it will let me. Yes, it will. Here we go. So this is the one that I've just been using to demo with. So this one is predominant colour you've got there is your lined gold, and that one is £9.99. You've got the lilac, which is £8.99. The predominant colour hematite is £8.99. That's got the most gorgeous pops of, like, is it a teal blue? Let's have a little look. So the metallic rainbow has got like purples and blues on it, and then yeah, silver frost teal. They're just gorgeous. Love that colour there. So that one is your hematite one. That's £8.99 as well. And you've got the olive, which is absolutely gorgeous, which reminds me of the rainforest. That one is a little bit more expensive at £12.49. If you want to change your currency, you can click at the top here, and we ship worldwide, so you can change that to wherever you want it to go, as well as your address. We are totallybeads.co.uk. We put the best kits together for your enjoyment, hopefully. So that's that today. I'm not sure what I'm making on Wednesday. It could be a bracelet. Could be a manner of things. I'm not too sure. There's loads and loads planned. Jan says, thank you, Natalie. Beautiful make. Thank you very much. Just Me says, thank you, Natalie. Lovely necklace. Just the right combinations. Hopefully your hand feels better soon. I need to rest, but I haven't got time. There's no time. Thanks, Heather. She says, lovely make as always. Now, again, I'm not wearing the right neckline. If I just put my cardigan in like this is the one I've just made now, so you'll see the length of where it comes on my neckline. Ooh, might be wearing that today. It's just pretty, really pretty, sparkly, comfortable, light to wear. I haven't got a beach to go to, but rain or shine, they're gorgeous little pieces of jewellery. Joanne says her granddaughter's been distracting her. That's lovely. Right, I hope you all have a really lovely start to the week. As I say, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'm going to be back here on Wednesday making more lovely jewellery with you. So if you can come and join me then, it'd be a pleasure to have your company. Hi, Scarlett. She says she loves the gold. Me too. Right, have a lovely, lovely week, everybody. I will see you soon. Stay